Okay, so I am now streaming. Hopefully, I'm coming through. To bear with me on this one, unfortunately. For those of you that have joined the chat and can hear me, could somebody please just send me a message so I can know if it's coming through? Nice. I say that. Also, if the music's coming through nice and loud, that'd be also really cool to know.
Music's coming through, yeah.
Can you see the game?
Yep.
Ah, fantastic. Ah, whew. Wasn't quite sure that was going to go ahead. Okay. So, hi everyone, this is Noxy, and today I have with me a very special guest, Pascal Heymann. He's sort of PR representative for Firefly Studios. Welcome, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh dear. So this is a little bit of a Q&A session, as well as a bit of an interview as well, all focused around Firefly and their title, Space Colony, which you should see floating in the middle of the screen right now. Hopefully. So, of course, any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat room. If I've missed any questions or anything of any interest, Pascal, please don't hesitate to make me aware of them. I'm having to rely on my phone today because I'm having troubles with the chat room, typically. So, of course, please feel free to ask questions as we go through. Just to give a bit of background about Space Colony, if you wouldn't mind, Pascal, just so people are aware of what they're currently watching and looking at.
Exactly, Space Colony is a sci-fi base builder RTS game, which, as you see, well, in the name and on the screen, takes place in space on weird, exotic planets with all kinds of strange flora and fauna. And you basically have to build or expand your base and collect resources for this really evil corporation, Blackwater Industries. And the boss is pretty much a cruel bastard who will take any risks to get his profit, and he doesn't really care about you. But you need to make the colonists happy, so it's got this sim management aspect to it. And yeah, the rest is really building up your colony, making sure everyone's happy, making sure everyone's safe, defeating the aliens that surround your colony, that surround your base, and collect all the resources in time.
So, I've decided for the purpose of the Q&A, interview, stroke, introduction, whatever you want to call it, that I will do a bit of a sandbox, just so people can see the kind of unit types that you get, characters, building types, and it's just a lot easier for people just to really get to grips about what exactly they have and what we have. So what we have here, when you first start the game, you don't know what's around you. So one of the very first things the sort of game wants you to do is stick down lights so you can see what resources around you, and so you can then harvest them and make your sort of base a lot bigger. Now, Space Colony is actually quite an old game. It was out quite a while ago, wasn't it? When was it the first time this game was released?
2003.
So you're about 12 years old now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we brought it 2003, and then 3 years ago, we brought out the first HD version, which, made it a bit more appealing to the modern technology, modern monitors. And now recently, end of April, we released it on Steam as the Steam edition. So that's the one we're looking at today.
So why now? Why did you decide you know, after 12 years, let's bring this game back out.
Pretty much because we could.
As you wish.
So, I mean, we've been working on the Stronghold series as well in parallel. And the question for us has always been, when do we have time to bring the old games onto Steam? And after having released Strong Crusader 2 in September, we now figured out, this is the right point in time to bring it to Steam, same as we have done with the Stronghold 1 and Strong Crusader HD versions. But they already came a bit ahead of the Space Colony.
Now, of course, those of us out there or those of you out there who have played this game before and know a bit about it, what additionally have you brought to the title? What additional content, if any, have you decided? It's been a long while, but
Sorry, I can't
those
help
of
you
you,
with
good to the cause, this is for you.
Sure thing.
that. Okay.
The first thing we did was we looked at all the feedback we got from the last 12 years and looked at what do people want, what do people specifically like about the game, and how can we improve it.
Sure.
And from the beginning, we were certain we weren't going to make a new game out of it, so changing any of the gameplay wasn't an option for us. And it turned out that people wanted a bit of an easy difficulty mode. So we made a few tweaks on the easy mode. We've added a new campaign or mini campaign on one of the planets. And that was pretty much based on player wanting more of a certain character, Ashia. They just loved her because she's an all-round talent. She can do pretty much anything. But of course, we can't just put her into the existing campaigns because that would ruin the entire balancing of everything we had built so far. So we made a new one and put that in. But the main parts of the Steam edition are really the Steam workshops, the Steam trading cards, the Steam achievements, and the Steam cloud saving. And the workshop is, I'd say, the most important, because now people can finally share their creations in the map editor really easy without having to find some weird dodgy forums and search through the entire internet where they can best put maps and save maps. Now it's just on the Steam workshops, and the game that way can pretty much live forever with just player creativity. It knows no bounds. So we're really happy to finally see that and have one place for the community to go. And that's what the Steam edition offers.
Excellent. And have you seen a good amount of reception in relation to the fans and making, custom maps, or has it been quite quiet so far for you guys?
Fans have been quite busy. So we see new maps coming out pretty regularly. We try to look at all of them in detail, but it's not always possible. And I'm pretty sure we're at some point gonna launch a competition to see who really is the best, and then we might find ones that are just so great that we integrate them at some point. I mean, that's happened with the HD versions. We've put in some user-created maps that were just stunning enough for us to accept as an official map.
And when you, of course, add these official maps, how do you credit the people that made them?
I don't actually remember how we did it back then. I wasn't part of the team when we released those. I know, I'd have to check with that.
Okay. Now, of course, this game has been out for, like I said before, quite a while up to now. The plans or the idea around bringing it out now clearly was because you felt, not enough time has passed. People either do or do not know about this game, and those who don't know about the game, you want to sort of tap into that fan base. So
We need
sorry,
some FUN down
when
here.
you decided to go it alone and go indie, what was the difficult parts for you? What did you find the most challenge?
Challenged in what aspect?
Well, a lot of people who, of course, had their titles sort of developed for them and sort of given an end goal and a budget and an idea of what they wanted to do. What your guys are currently doing at the moment is you've gone from that process to now going pretty much full indie, which means that now you've got the responsibility is totally yours. If it flops or succeeds, it's all down to yourselves. And I mean, what my question is which part of this have you found the most difficult?
Power failure detected.
I think what the foremost feeling we've had about that was just it being liberating. Because I mean, you just said, when you have a publisher that you get all these ideas and stuff. We never really had it that way around. It was always us really creating the games and the publisher being there for the paperwork.
Alright.
So the games have always been the way we wanted them. I'm sure sometimes the way they have to be developed can differ, from wishes of us and the publishers. But the reason we went independent is to not have to deal with these things, to be able to do the things we want to do the way we want to do them. And that's why we went independent for Stronghold Crusader 2 when, the development for that started, because we wanted to make sure that whatever we release and when we release it, it's going to be exactly the way we want it and that the fans want it. And that's just something that's not granted when you're working with a publisher. And that's one of the problems we had with Stronghold 3, that we were forced to release the game fairly early before we personally felt that it was ready. But I can imagine a lot of indies have the trouble of the funding. Luckily, we have Stronghold Kingdoms, our MMO, which pretty much was the reason that allowed us to go independent in the first place. But,
That's interesting, because my next question to you was going to be, how do you feel about Kickstarter? What's your crowdfunding sort of opinion, and would it be something that you would ever consider moving towards? But clearly that might not be the case, or the necessity, I should say.
well, the necessity isn't necessarily there, no. We did try something similar. We didn't go to Kickstarter. We went to Gambitious for Strong Crusader 2. That was launched, I think, that was 2 years ago now, that we tried to get crowdfunding over this game crowdfunding website, Gambitious. The campaign didn't end the way we expected it, so we didn't reach the set goal, unfortunately, but that luckily didn't keep us from actually making Strong Crusader 2 reality. It was a shame that it didn't work out, but there wasn't the necessity that we were really counting on it, and that was like a survive or go down kind of scenario.
Okay, so looking back at that experience, do you think there is a place for crowdfunding?
Absolutely. I mean, the great thing about crowdfunding is that it directly gets the fans involved. And that's, I think, is the biggest value it has. At least if you don't necessarily need the money. But I mean, I'm not sure if we're gonna do another crowdfunding campaign for the next big game, but certainly nothing that I'd immediately exclude. Because even though the campaign failed, the experience has still been quite great for us.
Okay, so moving forward for you as a team and as professionals, what do you feel is after, of course, Stronghold 3 comes about. What's your plans as a? I mean, are you gonna look at making more games along sort of Space Colony, or are you gonna move away from that and try something new?
So for anyone who doesn't know our games, like Firefly Studios games, Space Colony is kind of the
Sorry,
um,
dude. It's not happening.
exception to the rule of the type of games we make. So most of our games are the Stronghold games, Stronghold series, which is a medieval real-time strategy genre. Either set in medieval Europe or during the Crusades, like Strong Crusader and Strong Crusader 2. So our main focus, I think, is still gonna stay with the Stronghold series, just because that's,
What you know,
it's
and
built up such a big reputation over the years, and fans expect more and more of the Stronghold.
sure.
Which doesn't mean that we wouldn't consider, going into other directions, but if we do, then that's not something I could yet talk about.
Main power gone.
Okay, fair enough.
But either
Um,
way, we won't stop making games. That's the one promise I can make.
And in from your own opinion, has there been any games that you've seen sort of released recently or otherwise that has really kind of caught your attention and sort of made you think, I wish we could have done something like that?
The only strategy game that's caught my attention recently is, I can't actually remember the name now. It's I think it was something trading company. I only saw a 20-minute video about it. Yeah, unfortunately I can't remember the name. It kind of worked like the stock market, so you had your own base on a planet, and dependent on how many resources you sell and the enemies sell in the market, the prices drop, etc. And I thought that looked quite cool, and that reminded me a bit of the Stronghold type of gameplay where you need to make sure that everyone's happy and you have these values that go up and down. You need to keep a balance of popularity in your kingdom so that people come to you. But outside of the strategy genre, I find it's difficult to compare the games.
Is that because it's something that you personally just don't have a love for or a want for, or is there any other reasons for that for you?
For what?
Sorry, you were saying that outside of the sort of strategy genre, you said you had trouble sort of.
Well, I mean, if you ask, if there's anything I saw where I thought that would be for us, I mean, we are a strategy game dev, so that's our thing, that's our niche. That's why it's difficult to look at games outside of strategy and think, maybe we could have done that or should have done that. It's more something that I can evaluate within the genre of strategy. No, I mean, I do enjoy other games, like the game I've been playing mostly in my free time the last few weeks has been Hotline Miami 2, but that's really not something you can compare to Space Colony or Stronghold.
I mean, inspiration comes from different places, and one of the things I liked about Space Colony is the unique characters that you somehow managed to put into this title, and not knowing your Stronghold series before playing this, I felt it was very strong and actually quite modern and held very well against other, similar games such as Sims, for example. If not actually sort of going beyond them, because the characters, they fell out and they would actively do stuff to each other, or they would help one another and go for a chat, or drink some coffee together. And I just really liked this sort of mentality of this game. And I was hoping to hear you say this is something that you might, revisit.
Yeah, I mean, Space Colony is a game that doesn't really take itself too serious.
Hmm.
And we we hope that that becomes quite clear in the gameplay and especially the character design. I mean, these guys are just raging stereotypes of various kinds. There's no other way to put it.
It is a game of stereotypes, isn't it? Pretty
Yeah.
much doing jobs. No,
And
I really enjoy it, and I really like the way it's been put together. And it's surprising when I sort of think about when I started getting into games like this back when I started my PC obsession. This game was already old by that point, and I didn't even know it was around. So it kind of sort of makes you go, if I've missed this, what else have I missed?
there's so much out there. But as long as you've played Space Colony now, you don't need to worry about the rest.
Just to bring everyone sort of who have joined us recently up to date. So this is Space Colony. It's kind of like a simulation where you control people's lives, is how I would say it. And you have different stereotypes or character types, each with their own sort of pros and cons. They do odd tasks. You have, for example, if I just hover over Candy here, she's kind of the stereotypical like Barbie doll-esque type who doesn't really like doing anything, not very clever. You have Greg here, who seems to love himself a bit, and other such games.
I should maybe mention that, not sure if you're aware, but on the picture that's streaming, you're still on the video options choosing the resolution.
I am. Oh no,
Yeah.
I did not know that. Hold on.
And since your head is moving, I assume that it's not just my picture being not up to
Oh
date.
no. Hold on then. Let's see what I can do. Oh yeah. It hasn't actually updated since I changed the screen. Oh dear. Now I need to wait now to see if this is actually updated. Oh, gotta love it. You gotta love when these things come together.
Always happens when you're live.
Oh yeah.
Always.
Yeah, definitely. But then I don't think it would be as interesting if everything went to plan all the time.
I mean, no one would have noticed anyway, but it's not meant to be that way.
They might have done eventually, especially when I said, "Do you know this character here?" And they were like, "No." Oh god. Right, I'm just loading stuff in the background, so bear with me while I just not move the screen for a while. Oh. Here we go. Right, so that's loaded. Let's go back. Now, since the sort of game came about, the resurrection of this game, how have existing fans reacted? Were they excited, or was it kind of like, oh, they should have left it as it was?
It was mixed as always, I'd say. So we've had, a decent amount of people tell us, yeah, I'm so happy that, finally the game comes to Steam. I already have this game on CD in the box at home, but I'm going to get it on Steam as well, just for the workshop. But of course, you also hear, voices of other people who just say, if I already have the game, why should I get, the new version, even though it has, an extra campaign, all the Steam workshop stuff, all the Steam features, because let's face it, some people just can't be satisfied. But yeah, it's been a whole spectrum of all the voices.
I like how you call them the voices. It's like
At some point, it's just voices in your head.
if that was the case, I would recommend you see someone.
Okay.
Just spend
Ah.
less time on Steam forums. I think that would help.
I've never actually looked at the creation page, so I might actually go quit out of the mission and go have a look. I've never done the editor stuff. So what should we do? Should we do the planet editor or should we do the campaign editor?
Just FYI, it's still the video options showing.
Ah, no way.
You know,
This is
before you get
just
all
this,
excited about building a beautiful base.
this is just getting ridiculous now. Come on.
Can I just mention at this point that it's not our game that's at fault here?
Oh no, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. No point did I say otherwise.
No, it's just a disclaimer for security reasons. Just being careful.
Covering your tracks. Right, let's hope this has worked.
Yes! Now I can't see us two anymore, but
That's fine.
I guess the game is a lot more beautiful than the both of us.
It's going to happen. It's going to work. If it kills me, it will work. Right, so everything should now be working. So let's give the map a name. Hopefully this is working. Fingers crossed. Which is the most
Oh,
frustrating.
yes, I see movement on the screen, and I see your stream and my picture. Okay, seems to be going well now.
It does, doesn't it? It's like all the kinks are all slowly but surely being ironed out. Oh God! Sometimes I do sit here and think to myself, please work, and it's working good. So what are we going to call this?
I don't know. Any suggestions from the listeners?
Let's put it to listeners or watchers, all the same. If there's any name or suggestion of a name, please bring it forward now. That'd be amazing.
And let's make it age appropriate.
Yes, I don't think you can claim that one now that you've called everyone the voices. I don't think that works. I mean, it might do. Okay, I'm gonna have to be. Let's call it. For now. Oh, what have I done? Let's call it something interesting.
Alright, I should probably tell you at this point that nothing on the screen has shown up when you were typing. Oh, no, now. Ah, okay. It just seems to be very slow. Something interesting, okay. Seems
like
to be
what
a
I did
few
there?
seconds behind. Yeah.
Oh no, do you know what I've done though? Because I went back to check to see why that's happened. I've killed it. Space colonies died. No.
If you have a question for me, I can just bridge the time with an answer.
Since Firefly became self-publishing, how has it affected the development of, or sort of, development in the studio across the board?
Well, as I said earlier, it just made everything a lot more liberated. I'm not part of the dev production team, so I don't have that technical insight of how all the organization has changed. Also because I'm not actually in one of the offices at the moment. But I mean, as I said, we were finally able to do exactly what we wanted,
Advanced feature.
the way we wanted to, add our own schedule, and being able to have your own schedule is extremely important when you create games. Just because, you know, there are sometimes factors that are out of anyone's control and when things get done. And if you have to stick to a time frame, it can pretty much ruin the entire development process. And just having that knowledge that no one's looking over your shoulder, I mean, that's great. We all love working like that. I imagine anyone does.
Now,
Yeah, and-
sorry, I
No,
interrupted
go
you
ahead.
there. So at the moment, I am hopefully showing as in the land editor or planet editor. So I'm trying to figure out.
It's back to the video options.
It'll happen. It'll work. I can only but hope it will. Eventually.
It's back to the previous screen that's been on for the first 20 minutes of our conversation.
This game just does not like me, does it? Right. Now it should go black, just with us. That should be it there.
Yep.
Right. Where should I put some lava? Lava over here for now.
Ah, yeah, perfect. Now I can see it.
Ah, glorious. So far, what I'm liking about this is that it seems to be letting me get away with doing just random things on the screen. So that's got my interest.
Well, that's what the map editor is for, to pretty much just let your entire creativity run wild.
What's a Death Angel?
The what?
Death Angel.
You'd have to show. I usually play this, one of the alien types. I play this game in German. So, if you
Ah,
give me the German names, I can tell you a lot more about it. I'm the
just-
German community manager, so I do all the German testing for the games. That's
it's
why.
just called Death Angel, and it's like almost like a bug thing.
Yeah, that's quite a mean little thing. You don't really want to stand next to that.
I've put a lot down. Whoops. Let's put some very large boulders around it, so they can't come and attack everyone immediately. Have to earn their right. Oh, you can literally just put down like your own buildings and stuff as well.
Anything you see in game, you can recreate in the map editor. I mean, all the missions were created with exactly that tool. So you can not just create your own maps, you can create your own missions and put those together to create your own personal campaigns with stories inside them. And that's why it's quite cool to have the Steam Workshop available now, because then all these quite complex creations can be shared. Ones that you might not be able to distinguish from, our own content.
It's really cool. I'm liking this. And do you get a good number of people sort of like developing these kind of things a lot?
Yeah, we have on the Steam Workshop, we now have a few dozen creations there. But over the last 12 years, I mean, there's been so much building up. There are forums just dedicated to space colony maps. And that was one of the reasons why we wanted to bring it to Steam, because we saw that and we realized, okay, we need to do something for these people. Because even after 12 years, people still play the original. Like, even I find that unbelievable sometimes, because I don't think I've ever played a game for 12 years. No.
Or at least show that kind of dedication to a game for that length of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It is mind bending, isn't it, when you consider that, you know, for 12 years these people have seen such value in this game. They've been willing to sort of put so much of their own time into playing it.
And that's one of the great things when you create games, because each game is an experience for the player, and if people hook on that experience, then that's almost as good as getting paid for it. Because, well, almost, because it doesn't really feed you, but it's satisfying, a lot more satisfying than anything else. That's why we create games.
I like the I mess around with vegetation at the moment, see what different types there are and what they do. And I like that even though the game's not technically playing, there's still animations going on,
Mhm.
even in this stage.
Yeah, one thing I personally enjoy quite a lot about the game is just its attention and love of detail, especially for a game that was first released in 2003. And that's something we try to really bring across in all of our games, like just these small animations and really fine details on everything that give the whole game character, even if we use it for more than just making a ring of cactus. Cacti?
Cacti.
Cacti.
I don't actually know what it's called.
Are you drawing anything specific?
Kind of. You have to wait. I'm kind of just messing around with this at the moment. Just being silly with it. But then I suppose that's what it's all about, isn't it? Really, just being silly with it.
Just having fun.
I must admit, when I was start playing it recently, one of the things I didn't quite find, I think this might be something you need to sort of consider, is the relationships between the different characters. Now, you can, of course, through perseverance, make any character like any other character. But you can't make females date one another.
I'd never noticed that. That's one of your points of criticism? Can the guys date?
No,
I've never actually tried that.
no, it is not the case.
So
It's not really a criticism. It's more of a suggestion of maybe allowing that kind of, because especially with this day and age, you can't just have, it as it used to be. There are lots of different types of people out there these days, and they all need to be representative properly.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that 2003, that was like not on our radar when we were making it. But when we did the Steam version, we did make changes to the way the relationships work, not regarding to the sexualities and the sexes, but regarding to how easily they're formed and how quickly or not quickly they break again.
Yes.
Just because people had said, that seems quite tedious at some parts of the game. So for the easy mode, we've made this a little bit easier. And it's actually a good suggestion. I mean, we've really not thought of it, but I will pass that on. Maybe we'll do an update. Maybe once the UK, yeah, that would probably be a good idea. Once the UK legalizes or accepts same-sex marriages, that'll be our celebration update.
I don't want to dishearten you. It's pretty much already happened.
Has it? I know Ireland voted for it, and I know Scotland did, but the UK
I,
or England.
I'm pretty confident that it is accepted. Whether or not it's legal, it's
Yeah,
another.
well, I mean legal. I'm talking about the legality.
Do you know what? I don't actually know, and I won't lie about that one. I don't know for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
I remember Scotland made them like legal and official, and I
Yeah.
now know that Ireland voted in the referendum for yes. But I thought England had. I don't know. But yeah, just either way, it's an option. It wasn't done on purpose, is what I'm trying to say.
At no point did I think that was the case.
Automatic laser. Argon needed. Building cannot be placed here. Argon needed.
Now I need to know how I can add argon to my weapons.
Needed. Building cannot be placed here. Needed.
Let's see if I can figure this out.
I just want to say to Lauren, 1350,
Solar power plant.
very good,
Building
top notch.
cannot be placed here.
Oh, there's been a comment, is there?
Yeah.
I can't see it. What was the comment?
I was first exposed to Space Colony years ago when I lived with a roommate with a Mac, and I had no Mac games. I ended up finding a pirated copy, but since have bought it twice. Now that's the perfect fan. Like piracy is this, it's always going to be controversy. But I I respect people who pirate a game and then when they really like it, that they do buy it.
I think that, to be honest with everyone, that everyone's done it, and everyone's likely to be doing it at some point in their lives. To say that you've never done it is a lie within itself.
Absolutely. No, me not, of course, because I work for a game developer. I would never do that.
Of course.
I haven't actually since I started working at Firefly. Mainly because I then also discovered Steam Summer Sales.
Oh, they're crippling.
Yep.
They are the most crippling of all things in this world. They literally can make me broke within moments, and I mean literally.
All right. No, I never spend more than 10 euros a day on the Steam Summer Sales.
You've got some kind of like self-control, man. like seriously,
Yep.
I couldn't do it. If a game comes out and I'm like, I have to have that game, it literally is a matter of I have to have that game.
And then you never play it.
I do actually. That's one of the good things about streaming and sort of reviewing and talking about games as often as I do. It does mean that I get to play games, which is good.
That is true. But I mean, I had my laptop sent in for repair 1 or 2 months ago, and obviously, everything was wiped. And now afterwards, from the 180 games or such that I have on here, I have 3 non-work games installed. So I'm really not that busy in gaming at the moment.
Now I'm trying to figure out how I can now play the map. How do I play it?
Need to save it.
Yep. Oh, play it. There we go. Aww. I've saved it.
Advanced feature.
You're in the map creation part still, right? So you need to go to the load game.
Advanced feature.
Load game.
Confirm exit.
Should be.
Load again.
No, it's not load game. There's a player created games, but it doesn't do that one.
This is really confusing because the
Maps.
video is like 5 seconds behind
Ah.
you
Advanced
speaking.
feature.
Try to load it in the sandbox. No, it's not in there, is it?
Sandbox mode.
What did you name it? Something interesting.
Something
Large
interesting.
set this a quiet world with good resources. Your main challenge on Lethia is to adapt to its snaking canyon.
Unless there's unless I've overlooked something, there's a
Advanced feature.
flaw to my planet editing.
Since I've not actively watched you edit, I wouldn't be able to diagnose it from here.
This is good. This is a learning as we go.
Life is one big learning curve.
Yeah.
Oh, you made a face. That's nice.
There we go.
Please confirm overwrite.
What can I say? Come on. How do you play? It says players and I press player. And it's like aliens, resources, buildings.
Yeah, did you... Lauren just wrote, you didn't create a scenario yet, did you?
Scenario?
Well, every time you start a space colony map, colonists arrive. So you need to set the colonists that arrive to the colony. You need to set a goal.
Where do I find
But I
that?
don't think the goal is in the sandbox.
There's a campaign. Ah, we have to go to campaign, add a map. I see. Save campaign as test. Oh no, that's wrong. Test.
Advanced feature. Please confirm exit.
Yeah, and there you can set all the
User created maps.
mission objectives.
Damn it!
Advanced feature.
No,
Please confirm exit. Advanced feature.
I can go to
Please
new
confirm
campaign,
exit.
not load
Advanced
campaign.
feature.
Let's test. Right, so that's the map. Victory. Briefing. Test map. Or map. Edit scenario.
It's so confusing watching you talk to something that's like 5 seconds behind.
At start. Okay, we got people at start. Trade resources. Cat resources. I don't think I want to cap them, to be honest.
Please confirm overwrite.
Right, let's see if I can
User
find it now.
created
There's
map.
test! Yes!
Blackwater Industries.
Test map.
Did it work?
Activated.
I hope so.
Mission failure.
Oh no.
Bridge
Killed it.
destroyed.
Blackwater Industry.
Colony activated.
What do you mean killed it?
I was like,
Bridge
Uh,
destroyed.
bridge destroyed apparently. Within seconds of playing the game.
Advanced feature.
Oh. Yeah, I see it now. Okay. Yeah,
Why?
I probably forgot something in the map.
Shuttle pad.
Why is the bridge destroyed immediately?
Bridge.
Is that bridge from your player, or did you put in bridge of another player?
But I've got competing base, inactive base as options, and player. I chose player, nothing. No change, no difference.
And you did set the players, the characters to arrive.
I
Lauren says you had the bridge set up as a queued building, not a pre-existing one.
Airlock.
maybe I put some airlocks on it. Maybe that would have helped.
Please confirm overwrite.
Yeah, this is the part where I have to admit it's been ages since I've used the map editor.
Trying to figure out if I've missed anything. Shouldn't have.
Please confirm
This is good though.
overwrite.
This is a real interesting.
Load a game.
No,
User created
That's fine.
maps. Colony activated. Personal shuttle.
they're landing. You'll see in a minute.
A new operative has arrived. Operative Venus.
Not allowed to see
Light.
anything
Building
apparently.
cannot be placed here. Light. Building cannot be
Yeah.
placed here. Building cannot be placed
Yeah,
here.
I see it now.
Personal shuttle
They're arriving.
Light. Building cannot be placed here.
But why did you make everything black?
I didn't mean
Vegetation
to.
encroachment
I'm still
detected.
learning.
Not
There we go.
enough credits. Personal shuttle arriving.
There we go.
Not enough credits.
Not enough credits.
So Lauren just asked, does Firefly have any interest in revisiting Space Colony or games like it?
Personal shuttle
So I already talked about this a bit earlier. Our main, the main games that Firefly does are the Stronghold games, which you might or might not have played before. The medieval castle building, real-time strategy games. Space Colony was, one of those side projects that we really had fun with, that we really all enjoyed because it is just a funny and quirky style of Stronghold in some sense. So they share quite a lot of common DNA.
Please confirm.
And in the last 3 years, we've only had the resources and time to concentrate on the HD remake, because what a lot of people don't know is that we're quite a small development team. So we only have, I'm not even sure, 3 or 4 programmers full-time working on various projects, which usually only gives us one programmer for each project at a time. Depending on how that changes, depending on the resources we have, it is quite possible that we'll, do another Space Colony 2 in some time. I mean, the Strong Crusader 2 came out 12 years after Stronghold Crusader 1, which doesn't mean that we're going to bring out Space Colony 2 in the next year or two. But yeah, I'd love to see a part 2 from it. I know a lot of my colleagues quite enjoyed the game as well and would like to expand on the idea and bring out a bit more modern version of a game that is now, I have to say, fairly old for gaming standards. So the short answer is yes, we have interest, but we don't know when it's going to happen and if it's going to happen. But as I always say, we will never stop making games, and the longer we continue making them, the greater the chances are that there will be something like Space Colony coming up again.
I hope that answers the question she had.
Yeah.
Right, so while you were chatting, I actually had my game crash on me. Typically. So, I had to exit the game. But at least we got to see what making a game player created level would be like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to venture into somebody else's created game. That's on Steam. This difficulty on this one is easy. Now hopefully this is on your screen. You have to let me know. Again, I'm really sorry to say.
Yeah, Lauren, I wasn't sure either with the name. That's why I avoided any gender specific terms. No, you just called Lauren a girl, but he says he's a guy.
Oh, did I? I must apologise. The truth be told, I can't see how your name is spelt, and therefore I'm going on completely on guesswork. I must apologise if I offended in any way.
He writes, no worries though.
This is frustrating. The fact I can't even see the stream. Oh. Never mind.
Colony activated.
So this is a game that's been developed by somebody else online. Now, literally moments into the game, and I'm already getting attacked by the rodents.
A new operative has arrived. Operative red.
Yes, there are lots of alien life forms that will try and, well, not ruin your day. How do you say? Kill you. Yeah, that's it.
I didn't think the rodents did try and kill you. I thought that they were more just annoying.
Yeah, the rodents, they can, some colonists like to have them as pets. But all of their other, well, not really siblings. But everything else on the planet, most things on the planet will try and kill you.
Now, I'm trying to make sure I'm aware of what's around me. Looks to be something down in the south. At least this person's game, at least they did it right, unlike me who cocked it up straight away. So what we're going to try and do is look at some resources.
Lauren, have you created any maps and put them into the Steam Workshop?
Weeding post.
Fine.
Training pod.
Oh, I've killed one of them already.
One of the colonists.
Yeah,
Mission failure.
Well done.
mission failure immediately. Was it my fault? Yeah, it's totally my fault.
Galaxy mode. Colony activated. Trade shuttle approaching. Vegetation
Lauren writes
approaching.
he hasn't created any for the Steam version yet. Never got anything to finished state. That's one of the problems I personally always have with creating maps as well. It's
A new
like there's this
operative has
base
arrived.
idea,
Operative
but then getting it nice and polished and into a real usable and
A new
playable
operative has arrived.
scenario is always really, really difficult.
A new
I'm always
operative
quite
has
impressed at
arrived.
what players actually create.
A new operative has arrived.
I need to train Barbara and Babette in cleaning and to clean up litter.
A new
That
operative
is the
has arrived.
entirety of this mission, I think.
Well, that's not very stereotypical at all, is it?
I'm not saying
Library.
for 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 my own health reasons.
Choose training program.
It's an old-fashioned game.
Choose
As I
training
said,
program.
not to be taken too serious.
Yeah, fine.
While they're stood around doing nothing, I'm gonna get them to
Okay.
look after. It's kind of weird. This is an old man surrounded by younger women.
The base
It's
is
kind of
under
like
attack.
a
Power
stereotypical
efficiency, 20%.
Japanese-esque storyline.
Well, Hugh Hefner.
The base has been secured.
Please, when are we going to get some cleaners here?
I've got no defense. Nothing in here that allows me to defend myself. So if we get attacked by any creature whatsoever, we're doomed.
My guess is that there won't be any creatures there then.
Let's hope so.
If you use a training pod, those are a lot quicker
Training
in
program completed.
teaching
Whatever you say.
new skills.
A mission
So the library
objective has been
takes
completed.
quite a long time. If you use a training pod, it'll be a fraction of that, but it does cost a lot more. So I suggest you use the other colonists to make money, depending on what resources are in the on the map.
I can venture out and find
Right.
out. There's some food.
The base is under attack.
There's a beehive.
Building cannot be placed here.
This is vegetation, really. That's it.
Nutrient extractor.
Nutrient, that's the one. But no one's trained in nutrient extraction. Let's get the older guy to do it. Yeah, him.
Choose training program.
Oh, he won't let me.
The base
Ah.
has been secured.
Well, there we go.
Is this an easy map?
Core, don't know actually. I bet still trying to learn, so I might.
Training pod.
Training pod.
Training program
This learning
authorized.
is really
3.
getting quite
Choose
boring.
training program.
She's heading there now. Come on. Taking a sweet time. while we wait for her to be trained
Power generating facility needed.
on how to clean. God,
More
this
power
this could
generators
make me
needed.
come across like I'm some kind
Training
of
program
chauvinistic
initiated.
character, doesn't it? Really?
Don't
You
hate the
must
player,
learn to
hate the game.
clean. Huh?
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Or in this case, the creator. It's not your fault.
A mission objective has been completed. The base is under attack.
You're not a murderer for shooting anyone in Call of Duty.
Choose training program.
Oh,
Okay.
they've unlocked more
Training
things
programs
to
authorized.
learn now.
2. Choose training program.
The knowledge
Wasn't it?
shall flow into my mind like water.
Just gotta clean up the litter. That's literally my job.
The base has been secured. Cleaning post.
Done with it.
On
Come on,
track.
Barbara. Even. Get cleaning.
Training program initiated.
Oh, that is a lot quicker, isn't it?
Training program completed.
Yep, pretty much. Almost instantly.
Fine.
But as I said, it costs a lot of cash, so make sure you have some positive cash flow.
Where?
Training
Is
programs
that all we
authorized.
do up
1.
here?
Choose training program.
I'm gonna have to get everyone cleaning to
Cleaning
be able to
post.
meet the time scale.
Training program initiated.
Out of interest, of the colonists, which one so far has been the most interesting to you?
The base has been secured.
It's
Training program
Yeah.
complete.
that's really hard to say because I mean they're all
You are not
quite
authorized
weird
to
and unique,
initiate
but I
the
think my
training
favorite still is Stig, the one that
Large
appears,
power dome.
you know, in the first mission already. There's something I mean, for a while I thought he was German. I couldn't really figure out his accent.
Of all
Before I found out he's
freedoms,
actually
to know
Norwegian.
when to quit is the best.
And he has this calm, yeah,
Building
okay,
cannot be placed
I guess I'll do it, kind of attitude. But quite relaxed, so he doesn't get, you know, angry about everything.
Okay.
He just wants food, and he'll do
Okay.
his work if he gets food. So I can identify with him in a way.
I suppose it's very similar to Venus. She is very much she'll just do
Down
what
to
she's
earth.
told. Doesn't really question anything.
Yeah, those two, they seem to have an idea of what's going on in general. All the others are just like, oh, I'm doing this. Okay, I guess I'm doing this now. Or, you know, where am I? And I'm just wandering around aimlessly. Stig and Venus seem like they actually have a concept of everything that's going on around them.
A mission objective has been completed.
Right, I've done the
Mission
cleaning,
success.
and that's it. It literally was I had to clean.
Congratulations.
Has there been any other questions since? I think this the backdrop screen at the moment of them sitting in the hot tub is probably the most apt one you could probably have at this stage.
Together with Chromio's You're So Gangsta soundtrack.
I like the fact that you got the slugs peering in as well in the background there, very subtle. Ah, cool. Well, I mean, it's been just over an hour now. And of course, I don't want to hold you up for too long. So thank you very much, Pascal, for spending an hour with me talking about this game, and it's, you know, what do they call it? Revitalization on on Steam, like a
Yeah.
phoenix. For those of you who don't know or are not aware, you can get Space Colony on Steam now. There's a special Steam edition which comes with sort of like Steamworks or Workshop, and there's a lot of, you know, player-made maps, which is one of the ones I just finished on. You can make them yourself. There's a full editor in the game. It's really good. I love this game. The characters and everything about it is really interesting, especially when you play like the first player or you sort of do it yourself. It's really interesting, really detailed, in depth. So before I wrap up, because I don't want to, like I said before, I don't want to hold up too much of your time. Is there anything additionally you'd like to, any sort of words of wisdom, anything you'd like to embark on those listening in or watching this?
Well, I think you've already described the game quite well in those last sentences. The only thing I'd say to people is check out our Facebook pages and our Twitter profiles, because we do regularly have giveaways where you can win not just Space Colony, but also some of the Stronghold games. So make sure to check out those and follow us for the latest competitions, giveaways, and pretty much news. Maybe someday you'll log onto Facebook and you'll see Space Colony 2 is in the works. And other than that, well, thank you to you for having me on today, for being ready to listen to me for an hour. That's not always what do you call it? Oh, now I can't think of the word. Anyway, I'll wrap it up there.
Do you know what? I prefer it when it's when things don't go according to plan. I'd like to thank Lauren1350 for sticking out with us, for being for a very active addition to this stream today. And of course, thank you, Pascal, once again for spending some time with me, going through the questions I had to ask. I mean, typically speaking, for a known developer to go from publisher to independent is always of interest to me. And I thank you again for answering those questions, because it is something I'm very interested and keen about, to know what that's like. And you know, the fact to use things like, you know, it's very oh god, my memory's gone out of my head now. You know, you say things like it's very free, and you're able to just sort of have a bit more control over what you're doing, and that's typically what I hear from indie devs throughout, those who I work with and not. So it's really cool that you're repeating those same things, because I truly believe that indie is going to become its own genre in some way or another, and I just look forward to seeing it when it happens. Anyway, that's my ponderings over there. So thank you once again, everyone, and thank you, Pascal. I'm going to end the stream now. So any questions you want to throw them to myself at NoxyV1 or at Firefly Pascal for Pascal's, of course. Feel free to send us some messages if you have anything you'd like to ask that we haven't covered today. And I hope that you'll go out your way and pick up yourself a copy of Space Colony, because it's totally worth it. And while you're at it, check out Stronghold and get them too. Bye,
Have
games.
a good night.
And have a good night, yes. Thank you once again.